Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel Electronics Maddie. In this video, we're going to see the design and simulation of Class A commutation, also known as load commutation in MATLAB. So let's get started. So this is a circuit diagram of a Class A commutation circuit. So this is one of the methods of turning off the thyristors, that is the load that is there based on C and L values. We will be able to develop sufficient voltage here, and that reverse biases the thyristor, and consequently it will go into turn off mode. So since the load is used in order to turn off the thyristor, it is called as load commutation. So how do we achieve this in MATLAB, and how do we design the circuit? We will be referring to them in our next slide. Before that, we will be looking at the nature of waveform that is supposed to be obtained in MATLAB. So the current gradually increases once the thyristor is turned on, and these are the gating pulses that is given. And once the gating pulses is not given to it, the current should gradually drop and become equal to zero. Consequently, the voltage over here should be equal to minus Vs, whatever is being supplied that should appear across the thyristor, just because of the fact that the thyristor will be reversed biased. So how do we achieve that? We will be choosing the value of L and C such that the voltage at this side will be greater than the voltage at the source side. One important thing to note is that Class A commutation or load commutation is applicable only for the thyristor connected to a DC supply, because when it is connected to an AC supply, the thyristor will automatically turn off because of natural commutation. So once this concept is clear, we'll look into the design procedure. So every design starts off with certain assumptions. So we'll be assuming the supply voltage to be 200 volt, and the inductor value be equal to 5 millihenry, capacitor value equal to 20 microfarad. So these are some important assumptions that is made. So you have to start off with assuming certain values, and then we can look at how it can be turned off, and various parameters related to it can be found out. So our first step is to find the resonant frequency. Resonant frequency is being given by omega naught is equal to 1 by root LC. You will be getting 3162.27 radians per second. Once this is done, our next step is to determine the value of frequency. That is nothing but the resonant frequency. This is in terms of radians per second. So we have to convert it into hertz. So we know that omega is equal to 2 pi f. So f is equal to omega naught by 2 pi. I'll be substituting, and you'll be getting 503.292 hertz. So what is the time period? So that is the reciprocal of frequency, 1.98 milliseconds. This is the value that we'll be entering in MATLAB in pulse generator block. That is why we need these values. So be very careful with respect to the calculation part. Once this is done, our next step is to find the conduction time of thyristor. The reason why this is important is because only when we know how much time the thyristor should conduct, that is when we can start turning off the thyristor after that particular point of time. So that is given by T naught is equal to pi by omega naught. You will be getting 0.993 milliseconds. So this is a very important aspect with respect to our design. So how is this aspect important in another way? It will help us to find the duty ratio. How do we say that? Because duty ratio is nothing but T on by T on plus T off, that is the total time period T. So substituting the value of T on as 0.993 milliseconds and the total value T as 1.98 milliseconds over here, you'll be getting zero point 0.5. So multiplying it with 100 in terms of percentage, it will be 50%. So in MATLAB, in pulse generator block, we have to enter the value of duty cycle to be equal to 50%, and that's the reason why these calculations are very very important, and we will be getting the exact nature of waveforms that we are supposed to get. So our next step is to determine the voltage across the thyristor when it is turned on. Whenever it is turned off, whatever is supplied across the thyristor will appear across the thyristor terminal. That is nothing but minus Vs. So you'll be getting minus 200 volt at this particular point. So these are the parameters that we have designed it for, and we will be choosing these values in MATLAB. And once this is done, we can get started off with MATLAB. So let's go to. Alright, here we are. So click on Simulink library browser. We need certain blocks that we can directly search over here. So search for PowerGUE block, and you'll be getting it over here. Add this block. This is very important for the simulation process to take place. We need a voltage measurement block, and we need a current measurement block to measure the voltage and current respectively. So add those blocks as well. We need a DC voltage source because the supply here is DC for the thyristor. So add that block as well. We also need a thyristor, so search for thyristor THY. So over here, if you search for thyristor, you will be getting it right away at the bottom over here. So add that block as well. So once this is done, we need a pulse generator block in order to trigger these thyristors. So I will be adding a pulse generator block over here. We also need a series RLC load, so I'll be searching for series RLC. Add series RLC branch. And once that is done, I guess we have all the components that are placed intact, other than one of the main blocks that are required is the scope. So search for scope, add this block as well. This is used to see the nature of waveforms as how it looks like. So we have all the components. We'll be placing it in appropriate position so that we can get started with the circuit connections. So the load is connected in this particular fashion. That is, you'll be rotating the load, and we'll be connecting it over here. So one of the most important things is to double click on the thyristor and disable the measurement block, because we're not using them. So we'll be connecting the circuit diagram according to the connections that is shown in the slides. So you would be enclosing the circuit in this particular fashion. Once this is done, we will be connecting the voltmeter across the thyristor over here, just to check the voltage that is appearing across the thyristor block when it is conducting and when it is turned off. So apart from that, we need to enter certain parameters. Gate is given to the pulse generator block is given to the gate terminal over here. So set the DC voltage to be equal to 200 volt, and double click on the pulse generator block, and we need to enter the time period, that is 1.98 into 10 power minus 3. That is already explained in our design very clearly. So enter that value, and our pulse width is 50%. That is also calculated. Duty ratio is calculated. So 50% of the cycle it should be on, 50% of the cycle it should be off. Whenever it is going into the off condition, I mean when pulse is not given to the thyristor, that is the point when the voltage built at the load will be greater than the supply, and it will turn off the thyristor eventually. So once this is done, click on OK. I'll be connecting the ammeter at this point and the voltmeter at this particular point. Both of them can be seen at a time. Double click on the load. We're using a series RLC branch. The value of inductance is 5 millihenry, whereas the capacitance is 20 microfarad. So change those values according to our design procedure and click on OK. Once this is done, we also would like to see how the gate pulses is given, isn't it? So I'll be enlarging this a little bit and connecting the nature of the pulse that is supplied, and I'll be setting the simulation time to 1 second, because these are static loads, so we don't need huge simulation time, whereas in case of motors you generally need 2 to 3 seconds in order to overcome the transients. So once that is done, I guess we've entered all the parameters according to our design. So we'll be clicking on run. So let's wait for some time, and yeah. Now I'll double click on the scope to check how the waveform looks like. So over here you can categorically make them into different sections by selecting three options. So over here I will be zooming in this particular portion to check how the waveform looks like with respect to our requirement. Is it exactly what it is supposed to be? So if you carefully observe in this particular waveform, I'll be zooming into a little bit as well over here. So if you carefully observe, the current is increasing up to a certain point, and what happens is whenever the pulse is not given to the thyristor, eventually at this particular point, if you carefully observe over here, the current is increasing, and after some time, the voltage across the thyristor, initially it is equal to 0 because it is conducting, and once the current is decreased, eventually the voltage across the thyristor will be minus the supply voltage, that is approximately close to minus 200 volt. The reason why we are not getting exactly minus 200 volt is because we have snubber resistance and capacitance internally within the thyristor as well over here. So there will be slight deviations, and there will be certain voltage drop as well. That's the reason why we're not getting exactly minus 200 and or minus 200 volts. So over here, this is our nature of waveforms that we are supposed to get. Just in case if you want to see the pulses, you can increase the amplitude of the pulse generator block. That is, you can change it to 10 in order to clearly see how the pulses looks like in that particular waveform. The pulses doesn't seem to appear properly. So now you can zoom in and see whenever the pulse is turned off, like when the pulse generator to the thyristor is turned off, that is the instant where the voltage built across the thyristor will be very high, and at that particular point the current starts to drop, and it will go slightly negative if you carefully observe, and then it becomes reversed biased. Consequently, the voltage across the thyristor will be the voltage that is appearing across the load terminals. That is, it will be in minus, and whatever is being supplied, that will be stored in the capacitor inductor, and that is what is appearing at this point. I hope this video is gives you a clear explanation of how to simulate and turn off thyristor using class A commutation, also known as load commutation. In case you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me with questions and concerns you may have by typing in your questions in the comment section below. Thanks for watching this video. Please do keep supporting. Thank you.